Welcome to the Radical Success Podcast, where we focus on internal transformation to experience external results. I'm your host and coach, Doreen Rainey. Join me each week for insightful messages and powerful interviews to equip you to take bold, courageous, and radical action to live the life you want and deserve. Hey there, everyone. Welcome to the Radical Success Podcast. This is Doreen Rainey, and I am actually coming to you on Thanksgiving. Happy Thanksgiving to those of you who are in the United States. This is an opportunity where we are expressing our gratitude and our thankfulness for just all of the blessings that we have. And so, yes, I have been absent for a while. It has been a minute since our last podcast, but in this year of changes and transitions, man, it's just been so much going on. But I am super excited to be back in the podcast studio, super excited to come back to you each week, sharing insights and strategies and tools around living your best life and living your most radical life. And as we wrap up the final 5 weeks of not just this year, but of this decade, I wanted to just give appreciation to those of you who have been in the radical community inside of our events, inside of our coaching programs. And I just want to say thank you and highlight some of the incredible people that I've gotten to work with during this year of 2019. And so in the next couple of episodes, you're going to hear from some of these people as I interview them about their journey of discovery, their journey of growth, whether it is around their personal life or around their business, and just celebrate everything that they've been able to accomplish. And so first up in this episode, here's a great conversation, a great interview I had with one of my clients, Colette Wilson. Enjoy. Hey, welcome to our latest Team Radical Member Spotlight. I am Doreen Rainey, your Radical Success Coach. And this woman I have with me today, what words can I use to describe her? Not just client, event attendee, but friend and actually former boss. So I want to introduce you guys to this amazing woman, and she's going to be sharing a little bit about what she does and how she's been able to pursue her passion, and as a part of our radical community, the type of support that she's received throughout her journey. So please meet my friend, client, previous boss, Colette Wilson. Hey, Colette.
Hello, Doreen. Thank you for that wonderful introduction, and hello, everybody.
Yes. So first of all, tell us a little bit about you and the work that you do, and about when you were my boss. And
okay.
That you made from being in that space to what you do now.
Okay, well, we'll start with the latter and move forward. So yes, I hired Doreen several years ago. We were trying to calculate probably over 20 years ago, when I needed her to help the accounting firm I was at develop HR department. So she basically was telling us what to do. And she's still doing that today, telling me what to do, which I love. I worked in an accounting firm for almost 20 years. And then I took a break for myself, for my family, to do something different. And in that time period during my hiatus, I have come into what I currently do today, which is I am the owner of a catering company. It's called Komani's Catering. And in my catering company, we are full service, minority woman owned, full service catering company. We do full events, birthdays and anniversaries. I do corporate lunches and family meals for busy on-the-go families. And my business partner does desserts. So we are serving people with food.
Yes. Well, first of all, I love the way you kind of skimmed over your corporate background. And I think that your story is so
Mm.
powerful and so relevant for people who are trying to balance talents and gifts and what they're good at versus those things that they're passionate about and that they would do, as we like to say in the entrepreneurial world, for free if they could. And Colette says that she hired me at her accounting firm. But let's just be clear. Colette was not like some entry-level recruiter who was, looking at resumes and, bringing people in. Colette was a partner in a CPA firm. Colette had an incredible corporate career. She came out of college with her accounting degree. She began to work at a CPA firm and quickly moved up the ladder to become a partner. And so talk to us, Colette, about your journey in corporate and what was it that made you start to feel like, wow, I'm good at this, but I think I need a break and need to evaluate whether this is what I want to do for the rest of my life.
Yeah. Thank you for that. Yeah. And I do. I mean, I can brag all day, but yeah, in my accounting and my corporate career, I started off just doing what bosses told me to do, and I was enjoying my work, and I did move up the ladder very quickly and was very successful at that. And so for the 12 years that I was a partner in the firm, I was able to do my own thing. And what I found was, one, working with you in the human resources area, I was very good at accounting. I'm very good at technical. I can do the work, but I was very drawn to the human resources side, training and coaching and serving and making sure that I was giving to our employees and to our staff and our new recruits. I was giving them what they needed to succeed. Like that became so important to me, which goes along with what I've always known is that I am a service person. My talents and my gifts are geared towards serving others. That's what gives me the most joy. And so you're right. I think in the last couple of years of being a partner in the firm, I realized that giving and serving element was more important to me. But in my role, I wasn't able to, or I didn't pursue that fully. So kind of putting all those things together, I worked in that firm, like Doreen said, from college to being a partner in the firm and being at the top and really nowhere else to go. So that was my only job for 20 years. And so I realized I wanted a break. I wanted to do something else. I needed to be nurtured in what gives me the most joy and what I knew I was really good at. Because when I was doing accounting and technical things, I was very good. But when I was working in HR and working with employees, like you just can't touch me. Like I just oozed all of that. So in taking that break, I continued to do what I love. My husband, we talked about it tremendously. Long time at the kitchen table, one day after church on a Sunday, and he said, okay, then you just need to come home. You just need to leave your job. We'll figure out the rest because truly you're no longer happy there. Let's pursue something else. So I started cooking. People knew that I loved to cook. I loved to entertain. I loved to have people over. They started asking me to do different things and events. And then I thought I could make $1 doing this. So it turned into my hobby and my hiatus. And so the plan in my mind at the time was I'll take a break. I'll do some things I love and I'll go back and get an accounting job. But what I found is like that this accounting and serving, like I was using my talents and gifts of serving people. No longer was I serving the public in accounting, I'm serving food. And it's not just food, it's serving people to help them with their accommodations. It's busy families. It's someone who's trying to lose weight and wants healthy meals. Sometimes it's just because somebody wants your good food and that brings me joy so that I can give you something that you want from me. Mm-hmm. So I basically turned my hobby and my passion into a business and started putting all the parameters around it. One thing I can say that Doreen wasn't mentioning was while I was still a partner or shortly after, I can't remember, I went through some of her early training, 90-day. And I have those notes and I can look back at those notes and they say exactly what she told me to do. Like make a plan. How do you want to get out? It talked about me moving into the catering business. So that's just kind of come full circle. I've continued to go to the conferences, the Radical Success conferences. I've continued to follow her in all her training. Last year, I took the big dive and went into her VIP coaching, which was amazing and has really transformed my business. And so we can get into that exciting news. But finding what I really love to do, and yes, I would do it for free, but I realize I'm not going to do this for free because I left my corporate six-figure job, and I can't do things for free. So I truly love my job because I like the smiles on people's faces. I don't just like to cook and have it sent off and I don't know what's going on. I like to meet my clients, talk with them, make sure I'm giving them exactly what they want. And so I'm just so happy. And my business is flourishing, in part because I listened to Doreen. I had the mindset shift. I followed her coaching practices. She'll say things to me 3 or 4 times over 3 or 4 years. And finally, I'm like, okay, yes, I get it. It makes sense. Trust the process. But yes, so things are going well. And so that's how I made that transition.
Yes. And there's so many powerful nuggets in everything that you just said. I mean, first of all, you were good at what you did. I mean, first of all, you wouldn't have made partner in a CPA firm if you weren't. And so there are many people out there who are in careers where they're actually really good. They're producing the work. They're not totally miserable doing the work. And they can see that if they continue on this path, that there's a future in it. But it's not the thing that makes their soul sing.
Right.
Not the thing that puts that extra pep in their step, that smile that gives them that energy. And so many people find themselves at this crossroads where, man, I'm good. I'm making good money. People might look at me and go, what are you complaining about? What you mad about? You got it all together. But you know that there's something kind of percolating on the inside of you that says, I want to move in a different direction, right? I know I spent 8 years in medical school. I've done my internship, my residency, but I don't want to be a doctor. I don't want to be a doctor. I know I went to law school. I did all the summer internships. But I don't want to be a lawyer. And so for you to have reached a pinnacle point in your career, to be involved in the industry, to be seen as a leader, how did it feel? You know, sometimes we're attached to our title. Sometimes we feel like we're representing a lot from what we do, how we can introduce ourselves. So what was it like from an emotional standpoint to step away from what other people would say, how in the world would you step away from that? And really move into something that's totally different that many people might not understand. With the support of your husband, that's amazing, but maybe people don't have that support. People don't get it. How were you able to emotionally, mentally, from a mindset perspective, make that transition?
It was terrifying. I'm not gonna lie. It was terrifying because over those couple of years leading up to it, I just had that feeling, like you said, of like, I'm good, this is great, but it's just not for me anymore. And I need to figure out something else. And it was terrifying because people don't usually just walk away from a 6-figure job. Because the question was,
let's be clear. I always say, you know, 6 figures is 100,000 and 6 figures is 999,999. So you were making, let's just be clear. We ain't talking in the, you know,
no, we're talking right in that middle of the road.
Right.
Road.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Multiple 6-figure. Yeah. I just want people to be clear. Okay.
Don't scare me all over again.
Right. Oh, what did I do?
No, but yeah, and it was, but and so it was terrifying because people would say, you know, well, what are you going to do next? Because my husband's questions was, what are you going to do next? What are you going to do next if you leave? I don't know what I'm going to do next. All I know is that I don't think this is it, but I don't know what I'm going to do next. So that was terrifying. But it wasn't until you know, when everything kind of comes together, it's emotionally, you just know your inner gut tells you something. You can tell that things are going down a path that you don't feel comfortable with anymore. It just kind of came together, and I realized that money can't be the reason that I'm sticking around. So it was the support. So it is important to have that support, but if you don't have it, you just got to get over that fear and just realize like God's going to provide.
Right.
I'm going to not eat. And because I had a good career making those digits, I was financially set to like not work for several years. And so I really wasn't thinking about that at the time.
Right.
But just like on a side note for people, having a good financial advisor is key, because I went to my financial advisor after I quit. I told my parents after I quit. And he was like,
that's a lesson in that too. Sometimes you just can't share with everybody
right.
pre-transition.
Right. Because I probably would have changed my mind, but I talked with God, I talked with my husband, and my soul had already told me, you need to make a move. Then within those three people, we were good. So it was very scary, but then financial advisor was like, okay, we've done good over the years. So we'll move here, do this, you'll be good for, I was good for several years.
Right.
And then the support of the husband. So it was very scary. But I can tell you, as soon as I made that decision at home with the husband, like a weight was released. And after I actually resigned, like, I mean, it really was. And then I just knew in my spirit, I'm like, this was the right move for me personally.
Right.
You might say it wasn't the move financially, but for me personally, which is more important, it was the perfect and correct move. And I have felt good about that decision. I've never regretted my decision. I do not regret or take lightly my corporate career at all, because it has served me so well in my current job, my current career, entrepreneurship. It has really served me well.
Right.
But I don't regret it at all. At all. I am ecstatic. Catering business, Comani's Catering.
Yes.
You can follow me at Comani's, COLMONIS Catering.
Yes, that's what's up. That's that marketing coaching coming into play. So you said some things that are very important. First of all, that it took you a couple of years to kind of think this through, really understand what the shifts and changes needed to be. Talking with those that are most closest to you, your spouse, looking at your faith, how it settles in your soul. And so for those people who are watching and going, yes, yes, yes. Okay, but I can't chill out. I don't have 2-3, and your background is money, right? Accounting, finance. So what advice would you give to someone to say, this is how you can prepare for your own transition? Because this isn't necessarily about quitting your job today, but it is about when you begin to create a plan and you can see how you can make this work, all of a sudden going to that job doesn't seem as bad. Whether you have a 30-day transition plan, a 6-month, a 2-year transition plan. So what advice would you give to people who are going, okay, I need to do this, but I'm not in that financial situation. So how can I do a little bit more preparation for my own transition?
Right. Well, a plan is key. And like you said, it may not be a 30-day, 60-day, it might be a 5-year plan. When you and I were talking all those years ago, I think it was a 3 to 5 year plan. And my advice would be, you may or may not know that you want to start your own catering company. People are like, oh, you're going to open a restaurant. Well, I mean, I might want a cafe, but a big restaurant isn't my dream right now. So I would say in your planning, think about what area you would want to go in and make those plans, and then get excited about what that could look like. And then the other pieces start to fall in line. So then you could say, okay, well, if I start putting this money aside, I'll have this much money saved to carry me financially. Let me start talking about these people in this next industry or career and start seeing what's out there. So kind of making a decision that you're going to do something will get you jazzed about, okay, I'm only going to be here another 6 months or 2 years or 3 years.
Right.
And then the planning, it all just starts to fall in line. So for example, like I'm already in this catering business, but once, one of the main things I learned out of your VIP coaching was, once you had us look at, either what our exit strategy is, like, is it a legacy for our kids? Is it a, whatever it is. Once we started looking down the line of how much money we wanted to make on a per month basis, as opposed to let me just grow our revenues, all the other pieces started falling in line in terms of, oh, so that's where I'm going. Right. Oh, so then I can do this, that, and the other. It's just hard to say, how am I going to make $300,000, next year? I mean, that's a hard goal, but you can start thinking, well, what can I do next month? And then what am I going to have in the bank by January? What am I going to have make by April? So having that good goal to get you excited and then start filling in the pieces underneath will make it less stressful and actually make it exciting until you get to that point. Because it is not a, hey, I think I'll quit my job today. Trust me.
Right. That is not true.
that.
I know. And it's funny because many times as entrepreneurs, we hear those miracle stories, right? I quit my job today. I didn't know what I was going to do. I didn't have any money. And then lo and behold, 2 days later, I met this person and they invested in me. Blah, 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 blah. And then 3 months later, I'm making $1 million a month.
Yeah, no.
And let's just bank on that not being the story. This isn't about not having enough faith. This isn't about God not having you, but it's really about pairing your faith with intentional, focused action and some strategic planning, and being able to marry those two things so that you put yourself in the best position to succeed at whatever this next phase of life you want to move into. Huge advice. And so in that time, you've talked about, you've come to radical events, you've done coaching. So what is it about the Radical Conference, the events that really gave you big ahas and big takeaways? What are some of the things that you enjoyed most about that live event experience?
What I like the most, being around, it's mostly women, but there are men there as well. But being around all the different types of women who are there for personal growth, business growth, entrepreneurs, not entrepreneurs, that's all great because it gives you energy. But the thing that I like the most is the speakers that you've had that I listened to. So my story may not be their story, but they always had some nugget of, what's the word I'm looking for? They had something that you could hold on to when you left the conference. And a lot of it was around mind shift, change. Like some people were forced into their success per se because they fell on hard times and they had no choice but to make things work. And then you have other people who just chose to try to make this work and they made it work. But it was always about how your mind changes. And you can't always get your mind to change. You can get your mind to change like in a minute or in 3 hours or in 3 days. But when you go back home, your mind's probably going to go back to the way it was thinking before. But kind of for me, on a consistent basis of going to your conferences, following what they say, remembering like, oh, I saw this celebrity or that speaker or that cool story. The main things that they come away with is how they change their mindset shift to move their business forward and to make decisions on what they were going to do. And then once you decide like, oh, okay, so this is what I'm doing and this is how I'm going to make this work. Again, those things just start to fall in line. But if you're not there mentally, like I wasn't there earlier in my career to be like, oh, I think I should try something different because everything's working well.
Right.
So those are the things I think I like the most. I mean, it doesn't have to be the specific speaker, but just hearing those words consistently has always stuck with me. And anybody who's met Doreen knows that her voice stays in your head like, what would Doreen do? Or Doreen would tell me to this, but that's good because you need to hear things 8 to 10 times before you either act on them or remember them and they come into play. But then also sticking around other like-minded people. Mm-hmm. So at your conference, I've met people that I've stayed in touch with, and then I've shared with other people who haven't been to your conferences what I learned. So like I'm teaching them what I learned, which is reinforcing it in my brain. Mm-hmm. So just the consistency of the messaging. And the messaging has kind of been the same. It's not like you hear something one time and all of a sudden she's saying, do this. And then this time it's like, let's go down this path. The messaging is always the same. There might just be some new strategies on how to get there.
Yeah.
And so, I wasn't ready in the first probably 5 or 6, 7 times, that I heard different things. But, when the timing was right for me, I was ready to receive it. And then I had all those years of information in my head to move forward.
Yeah. Girl, you are preaching today. I don't know if people caught what you were saying. Personal development is a muscle that you build.
Yeah.
It is an opportunity for you to consistently pour into yourself the mindset, the thoughts, the beliefs, the actions, the habits, the behaviors that ultimately bring you to the place that you were created and called to be. And what most people do is they attend a conference, they attend an event, they go to a workshop, they come to a training, and they take notes. And they're like, oh my gosh, that was amazing. Oh my gosh, did you hear what they said? Oh my gosh, that was awesome. And then they go home and then they put those notes on the shelf and go back to their lives. And then they wait for the next thing to come along to kind of pump them up. Right. And that is the equivalent of wanting to lose 30 pounds, but only working out once every couple of months.
Right.
Because you're not building your muscle. And so what is so incredible about this radical community that you're part of, this Team Radical, is that we are not a one and done kind of place.
Right.
We know that you need to consistently, almost daily, work out your personal growth muscle to begin to experience the results that you want to experience. And so the conference is just a piece of what you do to build that muscle. And so for people who come to our Radical Conference and they get this incredible content, this incredible information, we don't just send you home and say, okay, go do it. Good luck with that. There's a consistent follow-up. Everyone who registers for the Get Radical Women's Conference gets a 12-month membership into our Radical Inner Circle. So what does that mean? That means every month you're getting new content, you're getting coaching, you're getting insights, community. We are not going to leave you hanging. And for anyone who has gone to an event and feels like, man, if I just go, it's just another event, I'm not going to do what I learned, you haven't been in the radical space.
Right.
Because we know that it's the consistent connection, the consistent coaching, the opportunity to ask questions, the opportunity to get over the fear and procrastination and overwhelm. We equip you, we help you build that muscle, not just at an event, but over the course of your life. And so I love what you said, that you have to take a minute, you're building that muscle to get to the place where you want to be.
Yes, I am getting there. And it's fun to keep getting to a place where you're like, that's where I wanted to be. Okay, what's the next place? Now, what's the next place?
Right.
So, yeah.
And you also mentioned that even after attending the events, you also chose to invest in private coaching. So what was the catalyst for that decision, and what did that do for you and your business?
So the catalyst for that was, having attended previous conferences, intensive workshops, and again, hearing the information, but not fully utilizing all the information until the next one came around. And so I was getting to a place in the business where I'm like, okay, this is good. I've established my business. We're making a little bit of money, but it's not going where I need it to go. So it was I guess it was about a year and a half ago, I think, at one of your intensive, and you presented your VIP coaching. And I'm like, well, what are you waiting for? It's like, if I need something that's going to catapult me to the next level, and I am a person who I don't want to just be in just a large group. I'm better one-on-one. So, and it was a little, I had to think about it twice, because I do know Doreen as a friend, but yet I'm coming to her 100% as a business person. I just need her to tell me directly. And again, if you know Doreen, she's going to tell you direct what you need to do. But it wasn't a friendship journey. It wasn't a friendship coaching. It was real dollars paid and real coaching that came out of it. And I've just been so proud of Doreen, because I've seen her grow from her first Radical Conference to today. Each time I hear her, I'm like, that girl is on time. Look at her doing her thing. And again, it's a consistent message, but the strategies and the tips and how she does things have all evolved. So I decided to do the VIP because I knew I needed one-on-one, and I needed specific, not just general homework, but I needed specific things for my specific business that I wanted to talk to her specifically about, myself and my business partner. And so, and it was great. It was what I expected it to be and more. I mean, I still have my notebook of notes. I have key things. I still have homework I haven't done, but things that I'm looking, that I'm ready to okay, this is why your business is stalling, because you didn't finish that particular, module of exercise. And so I can go back to those. But I just realized it was time. Like, if I'm going to go to the next level, I got to go to the next level. Like, I have to do something different. So, it was 100% worth the investment. And it's still paying off, because I still have information and things that I need to do and things I can go back to continue to grow my business.
Right. Yes, we had an incredible coaching opportunity, and the growth that your company has moved into is just phenomenal. Yeah.
I'm excited about my growth because I've looked at some, we had some goals per month, and I may not have made our per goal month for like those big dollars, but I'm looking at my financials and I'm very close to doubling last year's revenues, which is so exciting.
How many people don't want to double their revenue? And just like we talked about, your six figures, 100,000, we ain't doubling $5.
Right.
Okay, we're not doubling $10. And so it is exciting to see all of the growth that you've had, not just from the dollars perspective, but also from the CEO perspective.
Right.
Who you become as a CEO. Talk about a little bit about some of those shifts you've made in terms of how you're running and managing your company now.
Yeah, I can't do it all. I'm used to doing it all.
Right.
And so there was an exercise where you needed us to say, well, who's handling your marketing, and who's handling your finances, and who's handling operations, and then who's actually cooking the food. And I can't do it all. So I realized moving into that CEO role, which I really hadn't thought of before, was very important. So I love to be hands-on with my catering business and doing the cooking, but because I have that good corporate background that I do not take for granted, I'm like, yeah, I'm ready to run this as, my company and not just work in it. So that has been major, because I've, hired someone who does my website and my marketing. I've just hired some part-time staff who work with me on a consistent basis. So I have somebody who looks after my financials, and then I review them, but I don't have to do the day-to-day transactions. So that CEO role is major. And I've realized actually over the last month or so, I've kind of gotten out of that role a little bit, because I've been so much into production, and realized I'm like, okay, wait a minute. No, I need to get back into my CEO hat mode to make these numbers come good to what I want them to be by the end of the year. Right. So, you have to run your business. I mean, you can't just work in the business, because then nobody's growing the business. So that part is really exciting to me, because I can always come back to the cooking and the production to make sure it's going the way I want it to go. But using my previous background in my current company, like, oh, that's the best of both worlds.
Yes. So, as we're wrapping up, share with people, Colette, why they should invest in themselves, invest in their future, and attend the conference, become a part of this community, step out and join us for these 3 days coming up.
If you want to have any type of change in your life, whether it's a personal change or business change, it's not going to just happen. It's just not. It's just, like she said, the greatest example most people can relate to is, if you want to lose weight, it's just not going to drop off. You just can't lose weight because you want to lose weight. So I would say attending, because you're going to actually do exercise. When Doreen says, okay, for the next 10 minutes, we're like, oh, wait, we're doing work? Like, okay, wait, I actually have to think about this. So you're actually going to do some work. She's actually going to make you think. She's actually going to give us time to think. That's another thing. You can go through classes and courses and conferences, and you don't even have time to process everything. So it gives us time to learn some lessons and some strategies. It makes you think. She gives you time to think and make notes, gives you time to mainly communicate and talk with other people, other like-minded people. You learn so much by talking to other people, even if they're not in your same field or your same industry. Somebody could be doing business growth. Someone else could be doing personal growth, but just talking to each other, you're going to have some things that go on. So it's not just a place to come, be like, oh, yay, and who's there? And I get to see her and listen to this speaker. you're actually going to have a good catalyst or catapult your change thought by learning strategies, taking notes, having time to yourself. Oh, and there's nothing like if you're going to attend in Atlanta, book the hotel. Do not go home. I don't even care. We did one in DC, which is 20 minutes from me. I stayed in the hotel because it's different when you go and then you come home and you check the mail, you check the things, and then you try to get there the next morning early. There's nothing like just completely being away, because you stay in that mindset for a consistent 2.5 to 3 days, which makes a huge difference than just attending 3 days separately. So, I mean, just to even come to see what Team Radical is all about is a reason to come. But and even if you are doing well in your business or your personal growth, just to see what else you could be doing, or just talking to other people, or just to get into some type of community is really good.
Yes. Well, girl, thank you so much, Colette, for hanging out with me. You know, I just adore you. I love you.
I love you.
Me back in the day when I needed a job.
I love you as well.
That. And I mean, as a friend, I appreciate you. As a CEO, I'm in awe of what you're doing to grow your company. As a person, to make that bold decision to step away from what you could have written out for years and had an incredibly wonderful lifestyle. You're going to create that now in something that you're passionate about. Yes. And there's no better way to live out life than marrying passion with business.
Yes.
Money, lifestyle, family, faith. You have it all working together for you. Thank you so much for sharing your story.
Well, thank you for having me. I love talking to you. I appreciate you as a friend and as a coach. And just doing what you've been driven to do. Your gifts are amazing, and you've continued to cultivate them. So I appreciate you as well.
All right. Thank you so much, Colette.
All righty.
Thanks for listening to the Radical Success Podcast. We would love to hear from you. Be sure to head over to iTunes and subscribe, rate, and leave a review. Until next time, stay radical.